Kirby has always been one of the more fascinating Nintendo characters. The little pink blob has been on all sorts of adventures, piloting mechs, eating giant worm monsters, and defeating actual gods. You name it and he's done it. Despite being super iconic though, he has never actually been in the spotlight alongside the likes of Mario, Link, and Samus, at least until now. First up, Kirby finally gets his big break. Kirby and the Forgotten Land has finally broken the streak of mediocre Kirby games, with the character finally getting his time in the limelight. Make no mistake, this is the Mario 64 moment for Kirby, and we are so here for it. Kirby is arguably one of the most underrated Nintendo characters and has a lot of potential. For starters, he's super powerful and has some awesome abilities. So to see this vision actually come to fruition with this game feels like the start of a new era. Before this, Kirby games were being churned out like there's no tomorrow, with most of them being low budget and, as a result, not that good. And while this is not an open world game like Super Mario Odyssey, it's still a massive step up and reminds us of Super Mario 3D World, which is one of the best platformers ever made. What makes Kirby and the Forgotten Land so good? This new entry combines the delightful aesthetic of Kirby's universe with some incredible gameplay. We know that Kirby can inhale enemies and absorb their powers, but this time around, those powers have been turned up a notch, and the introduction of an insanely wide arsenal of weapons and tricks has boosted the replay value of this game by tenfold. The plot of the game isn't its strongest suit, but it doesn't have to be either. It's just there to serve as a guiding tool for you to wreak havoc on this world. The game starts off with Kirby getting pulled into a rift-like portal and teleporting away to a new desolate world. Yes, we know, a very original story. And from there, you find out that the bad guys are kidnapping Waddle Dees, who are your little friends. So your job is to defeat the big bad guys, some of which are just cute dogs minding their own business, and rescue these Waddle Dees. And as you rack up the number of rescued friends, they populate the Waddle Dee town, which acts as a hub world. But the great thing is that there's so much to do in that hub world alone, from mini games to trophy collections. Honestly, it's incredible how much stuff HAL Laboratory has managed to fit into this game, and this is probably Kirby and the Forgotten Land's biggest strength. As soon as any gimmick or ability in the game starts to get old, it quickly moves on to the next thing. Next, Mouthful Mode is weird but amazing. And of course, we can't really go on without talking about the new Mouthful Mode. This new addition to Kirby's abilities catches you out of the left field every single time. That car? Yep, you can absorb that and drive around. Kinda weird, but seems reasonable enough. However, things start to get really wacky when you encounter some of the other things that Kirby can absorb in Mouthful Mode, like a vending machine, a traffic cone, and some random scaffolding. And just like all the other abilities, the Mouthful Mode doesn't overstay its welcome at any level either. It makes the gameplay loop unique for long enough to make the player feel good. Not only that, but the puzzles that require you to use Mouthful Mode are simple yet fun. Next up, it's not a challenging game, and perhaps this is a good way to describe the whole package here as well. Simple yet fun. Kirby has always been a character targeted toward younger audiences. If you are coming off from playing Elden Ring or are looking for a challenging Nintendo experience like Metroid Dread, you won't find this here. Kirby and the Forgotten Land offers two difficulty modes, with one designed to cater to the younger audience. The Wild mode, which is the more difficult of the two, doesn't really offer any challenge either. You can essentially breeze through most enemies without ever having to think about your moves. With that said, the charm of this game does not lie in the difficulty level. This is a game that's all about exploration and discovery. Each individual level has a set of main and hidden challenges for you to complete. The main challenges are pretty straightforward. Rescue Waddle Dees from their cages and finish the level. The hidden challenges are an area where this game shines the brightest, with requirements like eating some food, opening a certain number of tulips on the map, and using a specific weapon to defeat the boss. The best thing? These challenges are not visible to the player at all until you do the first step. So it's always fun to experiment with different things and discover what all the challenges actually are. And if you are unable to finish a challenge, you can always boot the level back up and replay it, which is also such a delight. Why has Kirby never enjoyed success like this before? It's wild to think that Kirby has never actually had a massively successful game before. The character has always been iconic and has been one of the central parts of the Super Smash Bros. Series as well. His own games have let him down though, but why has it taken so long for Nintendo to crack the code for Kirby when it has been able to easily convert less interesting characters like Luigi and Yoshi into household successes? franchise. We are not saying that there haven't been any good Kirby games before. We all love Planet Robobot and Return to Dreamland, but they just haven't quite reached the level that other Nintendo franchises have. Perhaps the biggest culprit for that is the inherent difficulty of putting Kirby's overpowered abilities into video game form while keeping them fun at the same time. Most Kirby games have been 2D, and in a two-dimensional plane, Kirby's powers are just much simpler to implement. You don't have to worry about targeting and all the different caveats that come with allowing Kirby's suction ability to feel satisfying. So it has taken a while for Nintendo to figure out how to translate that well into a 3D environment, and they have used some very clever targeting techniques to get there. Of course, this does not excuse the fact that Nintendo just has not invested enough into the franchise. As we've mentioned earlier, most Kirby games before this have not had a very big budget and have lacked polish. Also, the fact that this game has been released on Nintendo Switch, a console that seems to turn everything into gold, means that it's definitely going to break sales records for a Kirby game. Other Nintendo consoles, especially the Wii U, have just not had that power. Even dormant franchises like Metroid have been revived and revitalized due to the dedicated Switch player base. Let's just hope that Nintendo doesn't go back to its old ways. We all want Kirby to become one of its staple platformer franchises. What's next for Kirby? Kirby and the Forgotten Land has ignited a new flame among the Nintendo fanbase. The little pink hero has finally shown that he is capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with other Nintendo mascots. And from this point, it seems like the sky's the limit for Kirby. Nintendo, however, tends to make strange decisions. So we can never be sure whether the success of this game will lead to bigger and better Kirby games in the future. How does one improve upon this though? Well, for starters, allowing players even more freedom to explore and use Kirby's abilities in creative ways should be their priority. This is Kirby's biggest strength, and doubling down on that is definitely going to pay dividends. And to achieve this, maybe moving over to a more open world approach like Super Mario Odyssey would work better. The next Kirby game also needs to stay in the oven for longer. We are not in the 90s anymore, and releasing a good game in a franchise almost every year or so is virtually impossible in this era. So the bar has been set with this game, and anything worse would be scrutinized with a very critical eye. Could Sakurai come back for Kirby? Have you ever wondered why Kirby is such an important character in the Super Smash Bros. Franchise? He even had an entire campaign in one of the games and was the only character to survive Ultimate's opening. If you didn't know, then prepare to have your mind blown. Masahiro Sakurai, the mastermind behind the Smash Bros. Franchise, is also the creator of Kirby. So he and Kirby go way back, and after being done with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, we don't know what Sakurai will be working on next. However, with the success of Kirby and the Forgotten Land, maybe he'll want to revisit the character he created. It's a very long shot, but if it actually happens, it will be the most hype thing ever. All being said, Kirby and the Forgotten Land has ushered in a new era for our favorite pink blob, and after this fitting 30th anniversary tribute, we can't wait to see where his adventures take him next. That's a wrap for this video. What do you want to see from Kirby's next adventure? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.